Hello everyone, I'm NTom64.
And I'm THD.
And welcome, dear viewer, to the HellfireComms playthrough of Kirby Planet Robobot. We've never done a Kirby game before, and there's no real reason for that. There's just been plenty of other games that have required our attention, first, and Kirby has never really been a high priority for us, which is a bit of a shame because, as of recently, I've come to discover how great and, consistent in quality the Kirby franchise is. Let me repeat that. It's consistent in quality. You've got to go out of your way to find a bad Kirby game. Oh, you might find some mediocre ones here and there. I don't know, and this is probably going to, trigger a few people. Kirby Canvas Curse isn't what I would call a 10 out of 10 game. I enjoyed it. I had it for the original Nintendo DS. Its follow-up, I think, was called Power Paintbrush or something along those lines, or maybe that was just another name for Canvas Curse. Either way, it wasn't really on the same level as Superstar or the game that came before this one, Kirby Triple Deluxe, also for the 3DS. But the Kirby franchise as a whole is pretty great, and when I saw the first gameplay, the first footage even, of Planet Robobot in the March Nintendo Direct of this very year, 2016. Planet Robobot is a very recent Kirby game. I was enraptured. I was taken in. Kirby had sucked me in to his black hole of a maw, and I was terrified, yes, but I was also delighted because I was experiencing raw, passionate gameplay and also a robot suit. It was mostly the robot suit, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, that tends to help. For me, I've been a Kirby fan for a long while because, sometimes I just want a game where I can chill out to and just play. With Kirby, I don't really have to worry about stuff like a complex plot or characters. It's a very simple setup, just a straightforward, fun, lighthearted platforming kind of challenge. And, I've been playing Kirby games for a long while. Superstar was the one I knew the most. I've played the Ultra version on a DS. I've played 64, I've played the other DS Kirby's, I've played some of the GBA ones, things like that. Even the Nintendo, I actually went back to that one.
Oh.
So I've always been a fan of the series, but really Triple Deluxe kind of re-sparked that love of Kirby for me. I first acquired that game when I actually went to my first ever convention, Collective Con. And I was not actually really intending to play Triple Deluxe. I had some interest, but I'm I'm not paying full price for this, I'll wait. So, yeah, cheapness tends to rule the day. But at this convention, I was able to acquire the game for a little bit less than I would have gotten at GameStop at the time. And when I got home and I played it, I fell in love. The formula in that game was so good, everything just clicked for me. I loved all the powers, I loved the level design, I loved all the additional little extra gimmicks that just made the game more fun. I loved even the plot a little bit, as simple as it was, it did manage to suck me in. And I just fell in love with that so much so that I actually went ahead and completed the true arena in that game, which I have never done in any other Kirby game.
Yeah, let me briefly explain what the true arena is. Now, you have the arena, which in this game I believe you get for just simply beating the game. Feel free to correct me on that. You gotta do something to unlock it, essentially, and it's a boss rush mode. The true arena comes when you beat the arena, and it is essentially the very hard mode of the arena. And in Planet Robobot, you get, the final boss, and then you get an extra on foot, the type of gameplay you're seeing here, addition to the final boss. We sadly will not be showing that off because I am a fucking casual, and as easy, quotation marks here, as easy as Kirby games can be, they will turn nasty at a moment's notice, and the difficulty can spike like a motherfucker.
Kirby has always been a series designed for kids, and most of the game is like that, but it will unlock additional challenges like, again, the true arena, and much tougher secret bosses than you would normally expect that really do genuinely challenge the gamer, making it a great series to get into whether you are a kid or you're an adult or, anywhere in between. And for me, Kirby has always been that way. To be fair, when I did take on the True Arena in Triple Deluxe, I sort of cheesed it by using the Leaf Power, which is one of the new powers. Yep, one of the new powers that was introduced. You just hold down R, and you're basically invincible, and that's how I cheesed the true final boss. But still, it was that good of a game to make me want to complete it all the way. I didn't do that with this game. I wanted to, but I didn't really have the time, I'll be honest with you. But still, even though Planet Robobot repeats a lot of the same stuff that made Triple Deluxe so good, with all the various powers and the way the levels are set up, the foreground, background mechanic, things like that, the formula is still so good enough that it still feels fresh, and the game does introduce a lot of new interesting things to make it worth the time. So while Planet Robobot is not my favorite of the 3DS Kirby's, it's still very high up there, standing practically next door to Triple Deluxe in that regard.
So your top 3 would be Triple Deluxe, this, Superstar Ultra?
I'd probably say those are my favorite Kirby games, yeah, but like you said before, I can't really be hard-pressed to find a bad Kirby game. Admittedly, I haven't done stuff like Mass Attack or the Canvas Curse, things like that. I much prefer the traditional, kind of straight-up classic Kirby. But these games have been very well made, and I'm really looking forward to kind of going along this journey with you and rediscovering this game that recently I've come to love.
Well, I'd love to return the sentiment, but we're being assailed by a giant robotic Wispy Woods here, and I'm kind of terrified. Where's Robotic, and what have you done with the original tree that we've all come to love?
Real quick, the plot for this game, simple as it is, I'm guessing fucking Cybertron is trying to invade, trying to reformat the planet to form a new Cybertron. Unicron's involved, I don't know. So it's basically, like you said, roboticizing the entire planet, but as a result, it's taken a lot of the standard kind of level tropes you would get. This is a fire world. This is a water world, things like that. But introducing the new robotic elements and new challenges as a result does make them feel a lot more fresh, especially when we get to the main new mechanic of this game, which we'll get to in a little bit.
But first, we have to escape. There we go. I knew I could jump. This ain't Mario, but I've still got platforming prowess.
Now this right here, this is again another return, a mechanic from Triple Deluxe. These are the code cubes, and basically, what you need to do throughout these levels is that you need to collect these various code cubes. Now, if you collect enough per world, you will unlock the boss. However, if you collect all of the code cubes in every single level in a world, you will actually unlock an additional EX level. And that, for me, was a huge incentive, a huge joy to go through in Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, because it encourages you to explore all the levels thoroughly and get a lot of enjoyment and meat out of the game, where normally I wouldn't have gotten that in Kirby before. So it's a very simple kind of mechanic, but it creates a great incentive to just kind of keep going at it and find absolutely everything.
And the cool thing about the code cubes is there were like practically no instances, at least that I can recall, of needing a power-up from outside the level I was in. They very rarely force you to backtrack. Like, if I needed the power-up they wanted of me in order to get the code cube, it would either be nearby or hidden in a room within that level. You just had to keep an eye out, and that's good. I feel that's very intuitive in gameplay. It rewards the player for being on the ball without punishing them by forcing them to redo stuff, because backtracking is not challenge, it's tedium. Okay, it is a trick that certain game designers use to pad out and artificially elongate the length of their games, and thankfully this ain't that type of game. So yeah, there is a real joy in collecting these code cubes, and as such, we're gonna get them all, folks. You're gonna see all the EX levels and whatnot here. Yeah, well, we're obviously gonna see all the bosses because it's a playthrough and whatnot, but I will say we're not going out of our way to get the stickers and whatnot, the gold ones specifically, because they're like the super rare ones, because they're basically decorations for your Robobot suit, which we'll be seeing very, very shortly, and they don't really unlock any levels in and of themselves, and that's kind of a big thing for me when it comes to collectibles. The collectibles need to have some sort of benefit for me in terms of unlocking stuff, like in Banjo, for example. Jiggies unlock levels, and notes unlock note doors. It's intuitive, it makes sense. Stickers, while cool, and God knows I bugged my granddad a hell of a lot to buy me loads of sticker packs, the Panini stuff, when I was a kid. Goddamn Power Ranger shiny stickers. They're just not worth it in this game. I mean, go after it if you want, but you won't be seeing them in this playthrough.
Alright, here we go. The main thing, the main mechanic of this game, the robot suit, which we will be acquiring after we beat Meta Knight Mini over here, I don't know.
Aww.
Yeah, he's very cute for an invader, but this suit really adds a lot to Planet Robobot. I feared that it would get old, but much like with A Link Between Worlds, it's a simple mechanic that they use in so many good creative ways that create a lot of interesting moments within this game, especially when we see the other main ability that it has. Like, we'll jump into it for a minute here, and then you'll be able to see that, but I never really felt bored when using this suit. They use it in a lot of good ways, and the levels are all changed, and introduce new design elements to... yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, man. Can I take over now? I want to gush about the Robobot suit.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's what's cool about the Robobot suit. Is it completely alien to Kirby? Well, I suppose in the most literal sense, yes, but it is also a perfect extension to Kirby's base moveset, because it can absorb powers just like Kirby himself can. So you find a fiery enemy, like we did back there, you get flamethrowers. You find one with like a saber or a sword, you get the sword Robobot thing. And they just use this as like a means of magnifying Kirby's original powers, and so they can easily and efficiently and fluidly design levels as if they were making them for the original Kirby, just on a grander scale, and that's why I think it works so well. And it's funny because they were originally not going to have the Robobot suit at all. They were going to bring back the Hypernova ability from Triple Deluxe, but I guess they just wanted to change things up a little bit, because it's true what Hell Dragon said. There was a lot here taken from Triple Deluxe, and I guess you could call it a rehash. I would go so far as to call it a refinement. Rehash has a lot of negative connotations to it. Refinement is a much kinder way of saying rehash, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, this suit feels so satisfying to use, and I love how it can also get Kirby's, like, various abilities. It's not as huge of a potential pool of abilities for this suit as compared to, like, base Kirby, but because they're all enhanced, you just feel like this badass death machine, just running throughout the level and killing everything in your path. One thing I really love is that, normal environmental hazards that Kirby would have to jump over, or the robot can just run right through them, and you feel so good the times you get this robot, because you don't have the ability to access it whenever you want. You have to find it in each level, but when you get it, oh man, it is so rewarding, and it just makes this game so much fun to play, in my opinion.
It's essentially a catharsis moment mechanic, because you may be struggling through like harder levels and whatnot, and in fact, this is a bit of a spoiler, but in the final world, there is a level in which you'll go through the entirety of the level not seeing the Robobot suit at all. You will see code cubes that are like just within your reach, but you can't get them because they're like behind some kind of impassable obstacle, and then you get the Robobot suit right at the end, and then you backtrack through the entire level using the suit, and it is fucking destruction time. And oh my god, that was probably one of my top 10 moments from a 3DS game, like in the console's entire lifetime.
Yeah, I have to say, I freaking love that level. It's such a fantastic use of the suit, and it just feels so satisfying to go back and just fucking murder everybody. It's great, man.
You may have noticed by now, but the OST for Robobot is no slouch either. I've listened to a few of the tunes from Triple Deluxe, and they're pretty good, but I feel the slight techno bent to Robobot's soundtrack does it more favours overall, and that's also a thing that's kind of consistent with Kirby. Great tunes. Like, you may think that Canvas Curse sequel on the Wii U is a mediocre game, but my god, you should listen to its soundtrack sometime. Mamma mia, it does that thing like where you go, mwah! It's essentially one of those.
So you're saying, like, the soundtrack is like pasta in that regard?
Ah, yes. Patcher 2, if you're being nasty. Now, the Robobot suit in and of itself, the base Robobot suit, old Pinko over here, is pretty strong in and of itself, but it can't destroy all obstacles on its own. Now, you can see that it can punch out these one blocks and whatnot, but sometimes you'll need to make use of a power like stone, or sword, I guess, in order to move or manipulate heavy objects. Oh, that's so good. I think sword might be my favourite Robobot power-up.
For me, I'd have to say probably my favorite Robobot power-up is Wheel, because Wheel has access to special levels that just are so fucking fun to play. You're going back and forth between the foreground and background, doing fucking sick flips and shit. Oh, it's so satisfying to play. But beyond that, another cool thing I would say about the enhanced Robo powers, based off Kirby stuff, is that it encouraged me to use powers I wouldn't really use otherwise. Like, for example, I'm not a huge fan of the beam power-up. I mean, it's okay. I'll take it if there's nothing else. But in the robot, it creates, like, huge fucking bouncy electrical balls, and that's fucking sex. And the elect power-up, oh man, you can actually, it works like Spark from the old, Superstar, where you can build up a charge and shoot it, but in the robot, you can build up a giant, huge blast and just let loose with it, and it feels so good, man.
This is one of those games where Helldragon gets all enthusiastic and whatnot. It is honestly strange and alien, but don't worry, much like Kirby, he is, like, very cutesy on the outside as he is on the inside. It's all good in the hood.
I'm pretty adorable when you think about it, so don't worry. I'm sure I will find something to complain about, but really, there aren't really any bad moments in this game. Like, I just enjoyed it from beginning to end. Again, I like Triple Deluxe slightly more, but only slightly, because the robot is a pretty fun addition, in my opinion.
There's going to be a lot of going back and forth with normal Kirby and Robobot suits, so don't worry if you miss your buddy, you'll be seeing him sooner rather than later in most instances. And this is a moment where you can very easily screw yourself out of getting a code cube, but I believe just going back, like, in and out the door will reset things, so don't worry too much.
Yeah, you're not really stuck when you come into one of these rooms and you fuck up. You can just back out and then maybe go back and get a particular power-up you need and then just try again. It's very forgiving in that regard, but you're still required to use your brain in order to, figure out what exactly you need to do. And it's just so satisfying when you get it all together.
There we go. Our first level completed using the Robobot suit, and oh boy, this minigame. I fucking suck balls at it. Don't ever expect to see me reach Plateau 1.
I've done that quite a few times. I mean, I am impressive. Like, make no mistake. Yes. But at the same time, it's not too bad. I will hit 2 fairly often. I am number 2 often in that regard.
Deluxe. Kirby Fighters Deluxe. What the fuck's that?
That's, oh man, I'll have to tell you more about that in the next part since we're coming up near the end, but it's actually another neat little feature about this game.
Oh, we're nowhere near the end, my friend. I think you're thinking of a recording arrangement.
Ah, yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Indeed. Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Well, train levels are always nice. I mean, people are always dying on them, but there you go.
Yeah, people are making top 10s, which they then take down, looking at you, a certain Brit. Oh yeah, there's amiibo stuff in this game. What, you thought you could get even a moment's rest from Nintendo's latest plastic scourge? Oh, I think not, boys and girls.
You know, that brings up a good question, actually. Do you think amiibo are going to cross over to the Switch? Because they haven't really talked about it that much in comparison with that console.
That's a good point. I imagine, like, there's an NFC reader for the 3DS, so I imagine they could make one for the Switch. But, just while we're on the subject, yes, there are, Robobot exclusive amiibos for the game. Like, I'm holding one right now, and it's a really well-made one, actually. It's Kirby riding on, like, his iconic star platform thing. It's like the Nimbus from Dragon Ball Z, essentially. And, you've got DDD, who doesn't really feature in this game's story all that much. There's, like, one moment, but I'll save that for when we get to it. You've got Meta Knight, and also, I believe, friend Waddle Dee, who appeared in, like, Kirby's Adventure for the Wii, was it, Helldragon?
Yeah, Banana Waddle Dee. His main exclusive ability was the spear, and I freaking love spears, by the way, so it was always nice to see that kind of stuff in action. Now, what you're doing here is you're demonstrating one of the new abilities for this game, Doctor. Basically stuff like lets you throw pills, lets you create, like, concoctions, things like that. I really don't like it, I'll be honest with you. I think its range is shit and weird. It's just less straightforward and effective to me compared to stuff like Archer or like Sword or things like that. So I don't really like using it at all.
Archer's borderline broken, especially against one of the mini-bosses who's like a psychic guy who fires like spheres and whatnot at you. You can just like shoot them and they explode and the guy looks really, really depressed. I'm like, are you okay? Like, should I be doing this right now?
And some other abilities will return from Triple Deluxe. This is Circus, another ability I don't really like. It's very gimmicky and kind of shit in my opinion. I'm sure when I bring this up, the comments are going to be alight with, but there's this really cool thing you could do with this ability. And you know what? I am an idiot. I'm not going to deny that, and I probably have missed some stuff. with these power-ups. But in terms of just kind of straightforward, I'm playing Kirby, I don't really want to think about this, I think Circus is kind of shit, but that's just me.
Well, you know, you can get a real buzz off crystal meth, but that doesn't mean you should use it, and that might be the biggest straw man argument I've ever created in all my years here at HFC, and oh my god, this is a real nightmare if you haven't got the 3D turned on, like I do when I'm recording these things.
I never turn on the 3D in my 3DS, so admittedly this room gave me a little trouble because I'm sitting there going, what the fuck, what can I hit and what can I not hit? But, you know, it's another one of those really kind of interesting rooms that really challenges your perception and all the other various abilities you need, and it gives you a robot suit, which you will need later.
Oh yeah, flamethrowers for days, son.
Unfortunately, what I don't like about the fire ability for Robobot is it can't do, like, the move where you're dashing forward and then you do, like, a flaming Psycho Crusher. Like, I always love doing that whenever I use fire.
Oh, that was a real bad choice of yours to jump into the foreground, two-tailed fox alien guy.
Well, you know, these kind of things are kind of set in their little scripted patterns, but unfortunately we have the robot now, so things are not going to end that well for them.
I was panicking a little bit here, to be honest, because you can destroy them, as you saw there, but regular Kirby will get smacked into the foreground, which admittedly is pretty funny, but not while you're recording. I am very OCD in that regard.
Somehow the wind is strong enough to push the no doubt 5-ton robot over to the end of the train. This must be some fucking alien mechanical wind that Unicron or whatever made.
You joke about the Transformers stuff, but I hope when we get to like the big boss's lair, which is called the Access Arc, not to give anything away, Shockwave jumps down and is like, "Welcome to Cybertron."
Man, you're just making me pine for more sequels to Transformers Devastation. I just don't think that game did well enough to justify a sequel, which sucks, because I freaking love it and I want more.
It's underrated for sure. I mean, it's got a few quirks I don't really care for. See Transformers Devastation playthrough, hint hint, shill shill, for more information. But yeah, it's a good game. I like very much.
Another ability the robot has is to pick up giant, heavy blocks, which you will often need in order to block things or, you know, get to secret passages. Another ability, I think this is carried over from Triple Deluxe. Do not remind me. No, remind me
yeah,
if I get this wrong. Don't correct me. What's wrong with you? But, you know, you take these batteries over to particular locations and you can actually exchange them for stuff in the background, which is usually like, you know, code cubes or secret doors or things like that. I often find myself, at most, you know, kind of messing that up, because, like, in some particularly really tough levels, if you don't get it set up in the right way, it is very easy to accidentally switch over the wrong thing and completely fuck up your run at that level, so you basically have to back out and do it again.
Well, this train's been fun, but I'm out of this bitch, see ya.
Well, it's a good thing it didn't have a wall on the side, so you can just fly out, yeah.
But maybe that's why no one's riding the train. Although, to be fair, it didn't look like a kind of passenger sort of train. It seemed like they were delivering stuff more than anything.
So while we're going on ahead, I might as well ask you this question, comparing you know, what Kirby knowledge you do have. What would you say is your favorite power that Kirby can get?
Sword is a pretty big contender. I'm a big fan of Sword. My least favourite, at least in this game, I'm going to agree with you, for once, is Circus, actually. I feel it's a bit too fiddly for my liking.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm not sure if Circus is the one I hate the most. I certainly really don't like it. My favorite Kirby ability that unfortunately does not appear in this game... Here comes a mid-boss, by the way.
Oh, look how big it fucking is!
I know, like, I love the bosses in this game. I love all the designs. I love the use of the background and the foreground to make these really interesting encounters. It's just great to fight bosses in this game. Big gimmick here, you want to destroy the hands, and when you do that, it will expose a screw that the robot will have to undrill in order to do further damage to the boss. Not too difficult to figure out, really.
So, anyway, powers.
My favorite Kirby power that unfortunately does not appear in this game, and they really need to bring it back, by the way, is Suplex, which is like an evolution of the throw ability from Superstar, I believe. You know, it's basically what you can expect. You throw enemies around, you can body-slam them. Oh yeah, this is a pretty cool effect right here. This will come back way later in the game, actually, so it's kind of a nice lead-up.
It's 10 times more hype there, but this in and of itself is pretty fucking hype. Man, this game has a great introduction world, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, it really sucks you in. into the game. It makes you want to keep playing.
How many more times are we going to make the Kirby suck joke in this playthrough before we're done?
Oh, I wasn't even trying to make a joke, but I would assume, yeah, that's definitely one of those things that would keep coming up. I'd have to say, like I said, my favorite power-up for Kirby is Suplex, where you can just kind of throw stuff. You can throw those energy stars that come up, things like that. Second favorite is probably something like... I don't know, I always really enjoy using Wheel. I'm not sure if it's my second favorite, but I always like using it. It's fun to kind of drive around on stuff and things like that. So yeah, I might as well make it the second favorite Kirby power, you know?
Aww, he's wearing a sailor's hat.
He has a tiny little hat. You know, he's like a tiny little Donald Duck.
Sorry, you reminded me of the G.I. Joe shorts. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he has a cute little hat.
Look at all your tiny little hats. Jesus. Oh, alright. Level 4, here we go. Here's a thing that kind of, I won't say irked me, but it was extremely noticeable. Kirby levels do not have individual names. They're just like very Mario-like. They're like 1-1, 1-2, etc. Did that ever bother you, or am I just like the only OCD freak in the house?
I don't know, that doesn't really bother me, I'll be honest. I mean, it's nice when levels have names to kind of, you know, give it a little bit more spice, but it's not exactly like a deal breaker, you know what I'm saying? As long as the level is fun and challenging but beatable, you know, I'm okay with that.
Our first factory level here, guys. Enjoy it. It's very techno-y and science-y.
Yeah, they'll reuse the exterior of these kind of levels a lot, where you kind of go up the spiral tower. I believe they actually also use it for the arena and True Arena, if I recall. Yeah, if I recall correctly. So they got a lot of mileage out of that one. Here's one of my favorite powers in this game in Triple Deluxe, Archer, as we've talked about earlier. Big thing with Archer, it's range shots. You can charge up the attack to do more damage, and it also has a very useful carrying ability that I call. When you basically hold down R to guard, which is an ability that returned from Superstar, that reappeared once again in Triple Deluxe, he'll actually hide behind like a little cardboard brush, things like that, which will make him practically immune to most forms of damage, which again is very useful for cheesing the arena.
Indeed. Now you saw back there, it gave us a set of instructions. That was Knuckle Joe, by the way. He was an assist trophy in fucking Smash Bros. Brawl. Now he is here giving us the Hadouken power. Hadouken!
And Fighter is also a good kind of power-up to use. I mean, like, it's not my favorite. I think Suplex is a lot more satisfying for me, but it's always nice to have a few good Hadoukens or Shoryuken, things like that.
I'm a big fan of Ice in this game.
And continuing what you said earlier, back there they basically gave us directions that we had to follow throughout this maze in order to get a treasure chest. And of course you'll always want to do that, because more often than not they will contain the code cubes that you need, so be sure to pay attention.
Indeed. Oh, what's inside? Gotta gather the food first, priorities.
There we go. Now, if you get these wrong, I believe the mechanical versions of, I don't know the name of this enemy. You know what? I'm gonna bring up the Kirby wiki, because I have a feeling I'm gonna be requiring a lot during this playthrough here. But there's this particular type of enemy that keeps reappearing throughout the series, where they kind of just float around, they look happy, they're like brown little things. But if you try to inhale them, they get really pissed with you. Really
Jesus.
Fast.
Oh, the power-up for going, like, invincible is a lollipop. How cute's that? How very Kirby.
I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there's like an LP out there of Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, and throughout it, I think the guy who plays it is Medibot. Like, you can actually find this on the Let's Play archive. And throughout the game, he's very chill. He's very cool. He's like, let's go on an adventure together. It's nice. But then, when he gets the end of vulnerability power-up, he fucking flips out and goes full metal to the wall, man!
Oh, yeah, that sounds like Medibot, alright.
Alright, now I just need to find where the damn enemies are. Characters, okay, sure.
No worries, mate. I've got things here. King Do. I think he's pretty simple, really. He just uses all the powers of a standard, you know, Waddle do, but on a grander scale. So just cut him down with Cutter, fire him up with fire, or just, I don't know, fire stars into him as Kirby. Simple as, mate, simple as.
He's got that little headgear on the back that I think Widowmaker has in Overwatch. I don't know. I guess that would explain the shooting thing.
Well, they are going around and, like, I don't want to keep calling it roboticization, but that's exactly what it is. They're enslaving the inhabitants of Popstar, which is Kirby's home planet.
Okay, the enemy I was talking about is named Scarfy, who's, you know, basically a happy little cat-eared kind of thing, but for some reason he really hates it when you try to eat him. Admittedly, I understand why that's a deal breaker with most people. So it's just self-defense in this regard.
Really, yeah.
I don't know if these enemies that when you destroy there are based off of an enemy that already exists within Kirby. They seem to be some sort of super mechanized Waddle Dee kind of things. I think they're just exclusive to like the evil empire that's like attacking this location. So hey, you know, tell me if I'm wrong.
I kind of want to say they're like evil Star Warriors, and, you know, this is going to be an LP that kind of talks about, you know, pre-established Kirby lore. It's our first playthrough, cut us some slack, but Kirby is a Star Warrior. That's the type of alien he is. I don't know if all Star Warriors have the ability to, you know, absorb power-ups and whatnot. I've never seen Meta Knight do it, for example, but he doesn't need it. He's got a sword and a lot of knowledge, I guess. He seems pretty smart.
You're talking a lot about the Star Wars. That reminds me, have you ever watched the Kirby anime? Like, either the original or maybe a bit of the Japanese? You're laughing for some reason. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Are you asking me if I've ever watched an episode of Kirby right back at you?
Yeah, you know, either or. I've actually watched some of it. You know, I have to say, considering the bad history that 4Kids typically had, with, you know, adapting this material and basically making it more terrible. For some reason, and I think it's because of their writing style, the more comedic, lighthearted series like Kirby and even Ultimate Muscle, which surprisingly the dub has a lot of fans for. I'm kind of shocked, I'll be honest with you. But, Kirby Right Back At You was not bad. I actually like the guy they got for King Dedede. He added a lot. He had a really good performance, actually. I'm kind of surprised. And I think, like, Meta Knight was like Antonio Banderas, some impersonation or some shit like that.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know why.
Now, because we got all the code cubes, we've unlocked the EX stage for this world. Again, pretty simple, but as, you know, the worlds go on, they do get more challenging, so it's a good reward.
Well, they are meant to be, like, the hard level in each world. You know, like, at the end of, you know, the more recent 3D Mario's, you get, like, a super hard level. It's essentially the same concept. It's no true arena, but it will task you with doing a little bit more than, you know, 1-1 or 1-3, etc.
You know, I have to say, I guess, you know, while we're going through this, you know, basically what we've seen before, but slightly harder, guys. Like, I've been thinking a lot about getting, like, a handheld Mario title. You know, something for 3DS or even maybe the DS. Like, is there any you would particularly recommend for someone of my taste, if you will?
Well, what are we talking about here when we say taste, mate?
You know, taste for a good game. Can you recommend a game that does not suck? I'm just gonna throw that out there.
The original New Super Mario Bros. Is decent.
Isn't that like the port of the Wii title, like that 2D side-scroller one?
No, the New Super Mario Bros. Actually originated on the DS, and then I believe New Super Mario Bros. Wii came out.
Oh, okay. Because I have actually played New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I did that with my cousin. And holy shit, I hate playing it multiplayer because you will bump into each other all the goddamn time. It drives me nuts.
Oh, Jesus. Note to self, never play New Super Mario Bros. Anything with THD.
This is actually a pretty inventive use of the bomb. You know, Robobot armor, where you'll have to use your bomb shoes, basically, to hit particular paths in order to unlock doors. Trust me, they get more annoying later, but at least here it's a little bit more manageable.
I kind of want to pat myself on the back for not making any Poppy Brothers Jr., Poppy Brothers Senior jokes thus far, because that is one of my favourite classic grunt moments.
That's a grunt moment? Oh, I'm fixing to say. Like, I thought you just felt good about making a bad pun in general.
Okay, that enemy was just Cuba on fire. You can't trick me, Sakurai.
Mirror is an interesting ability. Like, you have this weird glide, you can basically create images of yourself, and you kind of have a short-range mirror wand, things like that. I don't know, maybe there's some super pro mirror strategy you can do. Me, I've never been a huge fan of the ability, so I don't really pick it up if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I would, you know, again, go for sword, or if it's available, gun. Gun is my favourite Kirby power.
Well, Archer is kind of gun-like. I mean, it's not gun-shaped. Although, you know, I mean, if we're taking, like, Zigbar into account, he had the crossbows, which were basically guns. I mean, he could combine them into a sniper rifle, same thing.
Ah, this is mine now. You are mine. You and I are one forever.
I really don't like using stone, but they actually gave this version of stone something interesting in that it has a short-range uppercut move it can do, and I've tried to pull it out during, like, the boss rush, and if you can land it on, like, particular mini-bosses, it does pretty good damage, so it might be worth considering.
Much like in Smash Bros, and more of which later, if you look closely when I actually use Stone's power, you'll see a few familiar stony things, and I guess I didn't need it anymore. Screw you, Stone. You have outlived your usefulness.
Yeah, man, you've only served your purpose in order for us to tell the viewers what Stone actually does, and that's it.
So yeah, you see, like, blocks from Mario, that's about it, I think.
Well, you can come up with, like, different Kirby statues, and we saw one back there with a DDD on it. I think, don't quote me on this, I probably have gotten this wrong and maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I think there's a Donkey Kong related one, don't quote me on that.
Huh. Now for some reason I think the Master Sword in the pedestal comes out at some point. I may be hallucinating right now, this is a very fever dreamy type of game.
Oh, I think you actually can get one of these statues to be the Hylian Shield, if I recall correctly.
Huh. This warrants further research, but not now. Not while we're actually doing the playthrough.
Well, to be fair, I do have the wiki up, so I can kind of technically look it up right now.
Oh, well, look it up for part 2, I guess. I've got a mini-boss to take on. On top of the fucking train, hell yes!
I don't fight nearly enough things on top of a train, because that seems like the perfect place to have, like, a final battle in a movie. They just don't do it nearly enough. Like, I remember when I was watching, what was it? Matrix Reloaded. That part where they fight the twins on top of the bus? That was pretty cool, actually.
Oh, Kibble Blade 2.0. Not really sure what happened to 1.0, but you're dead now, so it's not like it matters.
A pretty good design. Really, you want to watch out for the boomerang blade that he throws in the background. The boomerang blade, that was that one ability in Steven Universe on that anime he was watching, wasn't it?
Boomerang blade!
Yeah, there you go. Hey, it worked really good against Hollow Pearl, I think.
Just the one code cube this time. Just the one. And there you go, all base levels done. Now it is boss time.
Ah, here we go. And again, well, we've already seen the boss to this point, but like I said before, it takes familiar ideas from Kirby and reinvents them into something new.
Yeah, sorry, that sigh was more towards my own goal game incompetence. I swear I get one every time I'm not doing a playthrough recording.
Taranza was one of the minions of Sectonia, which was the final boss of Kirby Triple Deluxe. He basically kidnapped DDD thinking he was the world's strongest, the hero. But that didn't quite work out so well. It was in fact Kirby that had to take care of it.
So essentially Hercule got stolen is what you're telling me.
This is something like that. Although DDD is not exactly a slouch, like, when you play as him in a Triple Deluxe, his hammer is really powerful and versatile, so it's pretty fun to play through the game as him.
I'm going to stick with Sword. I find Sword works out the best in most, if not all, boss fights, really. There are a few exceptions, but Sword has served me well.
I tend to rely mostly on ranged and defensive abilities, because that's typically how I play games. But Sword is fun to use. I like it more than Cutter, at the very least.
Oh, it's fucking go time. Clanky Woods. Cut him until he's dead. That's your strategy. Watch out for the missiles.
Clanky Woods kind of sounds like a character I would encounter in a SpongeBob cartoon. I don't know why.
Oh, jeez. So how did you take down this nightmarish forest apparition, mate?
Like you said, it's really not too bad again, first boss of the game. You just basically want to hit him in the corner. He'll watch out for... He has, like, mechanical ball leaves, which I don't really get, admittedly. I believe if you have the right power-up, the missiles can be deflected. Don't quote me on that. I know you can destroy them really easily. Again, really good to use with ranged abilities. But this part of the fight is really interesting, where he basically turns the arena now into a 3D kind of thing. So now he'll have to he'll chase you around, he'll shoot stuff, he'll try to ram you. So you want to use the arena to your advantage to kind of avoid that.
The stars do a surprising amount of power, like even compared to the most wacky and radical of Kirby power-ups you can get. So if you ever lose your abilities that you're carrying, which happens a lot to me, I've got to say, Kirby cannot tank a hit worth shit. Just make use of the stars. The game's giving you them for a reason, after all.
And like in the last game, if you suck in more than one star, you actually can combine them into one bigger shot, which does way more damage. So even if you lose your power-up, if you get enough stars, you can still do good damage to the boss, so you're not completely hosed. This is a cool transition right here. I love this.
Final phase. Shit's gonna come out the left and right hole, so watch out, Kirby. Hope you're on the ball.
Well, I hope you're on the ball. You're the one that recorded this.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, Jesus. Paradox.
You actually knock these guys. I rarely do that, but you can knock them back to do a little bit more damage.
Oh, he's going full Gurren Lagann here.
This form right here, phase or whatever, this attack, reminds me a lot of, like, the final boss of Contra for some reason. I guess because of, the hanging overhead, the kind of stabbing at you kind of thing. I don't know.
Ach no, I've been defeated by a marshmallow.
I died as I lived, being made of metal and, puking missiles from my mouth. See, he's sad. Aw, why did you kill him, you monster?
Who are these other Kirbys that come in to dance with Kirby? Are they the backup dancers of this universe?
They're the leftovers from Mass Attack, obviously, although that would have to make Mass Attack the first game in the series, considering they've always showed up in every other Kirby game. I don't know.
Oh, jeez, the Kirby lore is rich, deep, and luscious. And those aren't just legs, those are enemy bases. We're going to have to destroy all 5, I want to say, and then the Access Arc itself is our final destination.
Yeah, it won't be too hard, because you do not fuck with Kirby, because he will fucking kill you.
Indeed, indeed. We'll see you next time for Area 2, Resolution Road. Goodbye for now.